Earlier this offseason, we got news that Christian Watson would be heading to UW-Madison to try to figure out how to solve his consistent hamstring injury problem. He's dealt with lots of injuries in his first 2 years in Green Bay, only played in 9 total games last season. And Christian Watson spoke with the Packers media in the locker room earlier this week after an OTA practice and went into detail about his hamstring injury and basically why it's been happening and what he's trying to do now to solve the problem to where it doesn't happen again in the future. So apparently he has less strength in his right leg versus his left leg, and because of that asymmetry in his two legs, the strength, that's what's been causing problems. He said this: obviously, when you're trying to be equal in power, it obviously puts a lot more stress on the one that's not as strong. That's been the number one thing for me because that leads to fatigue as well. It's a bad place to be. So obviously that's been my number one goal, to just kind of eliminate that. So trying to get both of his legs to be at the same strength. Then here's from Wes Hodquist of PackersNews.com. One resource that's been particularly helpful to Watson is a NORD board, which is used to measure hamstring strength and imbalance in a range of positions and exercises. The device locks around the individual's ankles, and data is collected with athlete falling forward in a push-up position. Perfect symmetry would be 0, though that's virtually impossible to achieve. Watson said he was around 20-something% off, and now I'm probably like 10 to 12% better than that. His goal is to get within 6% symmetry. So it seems like that's his big problem, is that asymmetry in the two legs. He was at 20%, and he's gotten that down a lot, and I guess the hope is that this will solve his hamstring injury problems, and hopefully that is true. And here's another quote from Watson, who said this: I think just being conscious about it, my ability to kind of know when maybe I'm feeling a little fatigued, maybe I need to tone it down a little bit today. I just need to be a little more conscious of my body and knowing where I'm at. I think I can get a handle of where I'm at if it's just fatigue or I need to tone it down a little bit. But obviously, once you get the injury, you're right back to square one. And the thing with Watson in his 2 years in Green Bay, he played in 14 games in 2022, so even though he did deal with some injuries in his first season, he was much more injured this past year when he only played in a total of 9 games. And I think it's tough for any player when you're consistently suffering injuries. You come back, you play a few games. It takes a little bit of time to get back into that rhythm. And we saw, what Watson could do in that, game versus the Chiefs, had a big game there. And we saw what he could do even in his first season with Aaron Rodgers, when he, started to take off near the second half of the season, when he was building that chemistry with Aaron Rodgers, when he had that massive game against the Cowboys, 3 touchdowns. And so we all know the upside that Christian Watson has, and it's going to be tough for him to stay at that level consistently if he doesn't stay healthy. And so that's why the Packers sent him to UW-Madison, where he, I think, worked out at the Badger Athletic Performance. I guess it's a center or something like that. And that's where they try to figure out all this information. And so hopefully this is the answer, and hopefully we'll see Watson, not deal with those hamstring issues as he has for the past, at least the past year. So that is the most recent news. If you want more Packers content, feel free to subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys next time.